Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Comics Della Morte, episode 90. Almost to 100. Awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
And we got, and we have Laurie, our returning guest on. She off episode 70. So it's been 20 episodes, and her book's been out for a while. So it's time to talk about spoilers, people. So if you've not read the book yet or buy it, do not watch this video until after you read it.
Or just go get it.
All right.
Go get it so
Yeah,
you
that
know.
that too. That too. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Buy her book. Buy her book. It's a great book. Support her.
Thank you.
So again, my friend, thank you for coming on. Had
Yeah.
to bring it eventually. I know we talked about when you were on the last time. It's like, okay, after you get it, we gotta talk about spoilers, talk about what you guys think about it. And I definitely love the book.
Thank
And I'm
you.
not saying that because she's my friend and we talk outside of, the show. But yeah, it's a really great story and it's definitely different than a typical zombie comic or a zombie anything. And, you know, read it. Buy her book. That's all I could say before we could go into spoilers.
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything kinda shoved into one story, and,
Mhm.
the premise makes it work. You know what I mean? Where it's
Yeah.
like it's zombie, but it's also a Western and an apocalypse, so we have, like, sci-fi and conspiracy theories with lots of action and horror and gore. Um, it works. It just works.
Yeah, definitely later on in the, zombie movies, they're focusing on more like, okay, these aren't just things that came alive. There was a government conspiracy or a thing that made the dead come alive. So,
Well, that's the whole point. You know, it's
yeah.
funny because that's one of my biggest critiques of zombie films is a lot of times it focuses on like how they survive or but they never really
Mhm.
talk about like what causes the zombie apocalypse. Sometimes they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's a virus."
Mhm.
How, Walking Dead it was like a virus that came down on a meteor from outer space, stuff like that. But it's
Yeah.
like can you undo it? So that's what this is. It's
Mhm.
like, yes, it happened, and yes, you get to experience the terror and everything, but the whole point of the story is our cowboy, Jude St. Clair, is still looking for the reason why the dead no longer die. And
Mhm.
for those of you who are unfamiliar with the story or haven't seen me before, Path of the Pale Rider zombies are different. They don't turn into brain-eating, cannibalistic, non-thinking zombies. It's like death it's death that's broken. So your
Mhm.
body can die, but your soul or your energy, it stays with you. So you're in a dead body. You get to experience your decay. And death is broken for everything. So it's people, it's animals, insects, nothing gets to leave. We're all stuck here. Um, and the undead are still themselves. So they have their memories for the most part, but as
Yeah.
their brain starts to decay, that's when it's like they get forgetful, they get violent, they get indifferent. It kind of hits everybody differently. It can progress faster and slower depending on how people died and how much of their brain is still, available for use. So it's different. See what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
but that's what I love about it. It's like people with like, Alzheimer's or stuff like that,
Alzheimer's,
you
yes.
know, I'm growing a blank here, but it was a M. Night Shyamalan movie, Old,
Yes.
where the
Really
guy,
good beast.
yeah, the surgeon or the doctor, he was suffering from, I think that disease or something similar, and he was going into bouts of rage and everything because his mind is slowly decaying. And
Right.
yeah, that's just I loved it because you made the zombies more humane and human like where you actually feel bad for these people,
Right.
but
It's
you still have the horror elements in there because it's more of a psychological horror instead of just a like flesh-eating zombie horror, even though
right.
there are elements in there with like the animals we'll get into.
Right. Yeah, it's just it's your mom, it's your neighbor, it's your best
Mhm.
friend that's going through it and you're either watching or what if it's you, you know what I mean? It could be your kids, it could be anybody. So it's just a really terrible thought.
Yeah.
And for anybody who's experienced a loved one that's gone through Alzheimer's, like I have, I've had multiple family members that have gone through that. You see them become someone else.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Things that
most
you
definitely.
would never imagine this person either acting or saying or behaving, comes out. So the brain
Mhm.
is a really interesting place, and we kinda play with that, in the story. So, there you go.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. So I can flip through some pages if you're interested.
Yeah, go down to, like, the page about the I mean, you might not discuss it more, but, like, I wanna know why you wanted to choose the cowboy and his horse as the
Okay.
person in the beginning.
So
Why
I
you want
okay,
to
first of
finish it.
all, I love movies of all shapes and kinds, and I remember growing up watching Clint Eastwood movies with my dad.
Mhm.
Pale Rider, Good, Bad, and the Ugly, I could name a whole slew of them. Um, so in my mind, in this world, things have devolved back to the Wild West in places.
Yeah.
So we don't have electricity, we don't have running water. People are kinda it's like if the Wild West was in the future. So you get kind of a
Mhm.
steampunk feel because people are piecing things together like a Fallout, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fallout the game where people are collecting things and like still scrounging and looking for food. Things are pretty dilapidated. So when we start this episode 1, we're 10 years into this apocalypse. So that's the first time we see our cowboy riding his horse, Prince, going through, beat up towns. Now, some of these pages are in color just because I wanted to showcase.
And that's
Um,
Diana Prince. I like.
yeah, just to kind
Mhm.
of show what Marco is capable of doing. Because as you can
Mhm.
see, most of this issue is in black and white. Our intention is to do color for every episode going forward. Our first one was black and white just because that's all we could afford.
Yeah.
Um, but here we are now. This is a color page. So you can kind of see like it's quiet. He has like that Clint Eastwood squint close up. So it's very cinematic. Our cowboy kind
Like
of
how I
has
like
that
how you
sense
made the
that
horse
something's not
white.
right. Go ahead.
Sorry. I was gonna say I like how you made the horse white. It just gives more depth into the Pale Rider name.
Yes. Well, we'll talk about that, but there's a bunch of different meanings behind the title
Mhm.
when you read into it. So,
Sweet.
so here we are. He finds a survivor.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that survivor just a one person you're gonna meet this time, or is that person, like, gonna be a recurring character in the
You'll
future?
just have to read to find out.
Right?
You're gonna come across all sorts of different
Mm,
kinds of people. Like, he looks very modern to me. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, out of our own time. His clothes look a little shabby, but he's not in Western apparel.
Mhm.
So, depending on where Jude is, you're gonna see people look out of the 50s, or, like, you might see them act differently, dress differently. It's just, like, the
Well, yeah.
mentality of that colony wherever he is.
Mhm.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, it's not just the colony, but it's like 10 years, that's a long time,
Yeah.
but when you really think about it, any type of apocalypse like that, sometimes it does take a while to reach different countries and stuff like that. So the people that are at like ground zero with this thing is going to be more, like you said, in the Western and relying on the stuff, while the people that are like just barely experiencing it because they're like overseas or whatnot, they're still used to the modern stuff and they haven't wanted to change because they want to still hold on that one day this is all just going to wake up from a dream, a nightmare.
I'm gonna give you guys a little spoiler. This happens simultaneously all over the world.
Oh, okay.
So,
Gotcha.
something to think about. It's just,
Gotcha.
because we're going to talk about some conspiracy theories too about what we think this is. So anyway, Jude is pointing a gun at this kid, and he tells him to turn
Mhm.
on this device. Now we call these a disc. It's very simple. All it does is it amplifies the heartbeat, and when you tap it, it turns on the audio as well. So you see
Mhm.
him activate the disc so Jude can see the heartbeat, but he can also hear it amplified by this device on his chest. So that's kind of how they differentiate between the living and the undead is they wanna know, do you still have a heartbeat?
And somehow they had these devices made really quick. Hence
The government during the fall, the government
Mhm,
actually made them and kind of forced them or just it's like a driver's license. Their government issue,
mhm,
um, some people could alter them or like get commercial versions if they wanted to, but there's like the cheapo government issue, but you have
yeah,
to have it on you. Like eventually you're going to see the fall and you're going to
mhm,
get to see like some of the police force and how they interact with people where they would just walk up and tap it. I'd want to see if you're alive or not and just tap the device. But
yeah,
again, it's an electronic, it's technology. So it's hackable, it can break, can all sorts of things can happen to it, so which will
mhm,
cause problems in the story. So, it's just an interesting, technology in this world and, how people interact with it. So, basically, Jude puts his gun away because the
mhm,
kid's alive, so he's not a threat, and
yeah,
he's asking for directions. He's looking for, I-93, which is out west.
mhm,
And next we see him at a campsite with his horse, watching the fire, being just um quiet, reading his journal with like drawings and handwriting with this big open sky. And he has this moment where he looks up at the night sky and can see like the Milky Way. And he's just so
yeah,
caught up in the beauty of the earth. It's in a way, it's like it can be more quiet in places.
mhm.
Some places it's so loud, but right where he is, it's so quiet. But it's just
Well,
like
that's yeah.
immediately interrupted.
Yeah, I mean, that's like real life, people are
Mhm.
so focused on being in the inner city, but then when you go out into the country and go camping, you
Yeah.
see exactly how beautiful the sky is because you don't have all that smog and street lights blocking it.
Right. And Jude's the kind of guy that would take a minute to appreciate that. He's not so caught
Mhm,
up in anything, that he doesn't he still takes that moment to connect. You know what I mean?
mhm.
But of course, in this world, shit hits the fan pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah. I
So here's
definitely
a twig snap and here he
mhm.
is. What?
Yeah, I definitely love, how you add the wolves in there, the wolf pack, because, I mean, that's like a typical thing you would see in apocalypse or
Yeah.
out in the woods is that you would see a pack of wolves getting ready to attack people. But,
Right.
it works, there's some things that are cliche that shouldn't be done, and there's some things that are like, it's a must because when you're out in the woods, especially deep like that, you're gonna come across things like that.
Right. And this kind of just shows, I mean, this whole issue is really focused on Jude and the choices he makes so you can get to know him as a person.
Mhm.
So in this scene, we see one, he's not afraid.
Yeah.
He's ready to fight them. He's also sarcastic. He's like, nice doggies. Oh shit, you brought your friends. You know what I mean? Because there's
Mhm.
like one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight of them. He's like, uh-oh. And charges, screams, ah, and like tells them, I'm ready to fight. And they go running off. He calls them chicken shits as they go howling into
Yeah.
the night. Now, I don't know about
Nice.
you, but I wouldn't sleep that night. I'd
No, no.
be
It
waiting for them to come
definitely
back.
after that because you never know if they're gonna come back.
Exactly. So here we are the next morning, and he is tired. He's sleeping on his horse, yawning, says,
Now
okay, just a little
now
bit
you
further.
don't have to add spoilers to this, but later on in the series, are you
Hmm.
planning to go into, like, having flashbacks about how he became what he is?
Absolutely. And I've been
Awesome.
pretty open about that in interviews. So it's like we're gonna
Okay.
get to um an extended flashback pretty quickly in the series.
Yeah.
Well, you'll get to see Jude experience day one of the
Mhm.
apocalypse,
Yeah.
how he reacts to it and how things devolve really quickly. So you'll get to see like the riots, the
Mhm.
unrest, the famine,
Yeah.
like news reports of the confusion,
Mhm.
some of the craziness, the new rules that are in place, and like they create collectors, which is the police state.
Yeah.
They create an anonymous phone number where you can
Mhm.
call and turn in your undead neighbor, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you get to see all of that through Jude's eyes in his family and how they interact. So, you get to see more.
Yeah. There was this movie, like, I think you would really enjoy. But
Which
basically, it's a I can't remember the name, but it's a zombie movie, or maybe it's a episode of a TV show, and these people are zombies, but they found this, like, medicine that people inject. They still look like zombies, but their mind is more human now, and they
Oh.
have to wear contacts.
Mhm.
But, you know, people, their neighbors and other family members are reporting them saying, "Hey, these are, I can't remember the term, but, these are still zombies, but they're taking this medicine." So you have, like, this, guerrilla group out there trying to
Yes.
kill anybody that's a zombie, even if they are not like that anymore, because they're like, once a zombie, always a zombie. No matter how they act and talk, they're still gonna convert one day. So
Mhm.
I'll have to look that up, but
Yeah, I'd be
it
interested in that.
yeah.
But it's very similar in this world where it's like
Mhm.
once you become undead, people are afraid of you. They start losing their rights, so they can't drive, they can't
Yeah.
vote, they can't own property, which leads to all sorts of problems. Because
Mhm.
what if, what if I'm just going to give a hypothetical situation? There's a single mom and her two kids.
Yeah.
She's the one that owns the house. She
Mhm.
passes. They come and collect her and take the house away. Where do those 2 kids go?
Exactly.
So it creates all sorts of ethical problems, which we will
Mhm.
see moving forward. So you're gonna it becomes very in depth, and it makes you kind of question, which is
Which is
what I like to
no.
do. I like to kind of like take a spotlight and put it on the human race and say like this is how I think we would react, or this is how ugly we can be.
Mhm.
Um, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, even with, like, non-zombie movies and apocalypse movies like Waterworld, you
yeah,
know, he he went to the place and then they freaked out that he was a mutant because he had gills behind his ears. Like, we in society, no matter how bad things are, we always wanna blame other people
right.
for
Well, I
stuff.
mean, you are the undead people are pretty
Yeah.
dangerous. So
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, and I never really give an answer. Like Jude has his opinion, but really it could go either way because yes, those people are dangerous
Yeah.
because they're deteriorating so fast. So I might want to protect my kids from that because
Mm,
might they might be in a potentially dangerous situation um being around undead neighbors or whatever. But you also have to remember that when you start taking away rights from the undead, eventually that's going to be you
yeah, yeah.
because there is no out. There is no passing on. Everybody whose body dies ends up like this.
Mhm.
So, it's like a double-edged sword. So, it's just an interesting place and it's very difficult to function as a
Oh,
thinking person in this world.
I bet.
So, Jude comes across this farm and there's a lady gardening, which is what I would do
Mhm.
because of food, right? And a little girl.
Yeah,
So there's a big stone wall. It's kind of hard to see in black and white, but there is space. So Jude, again, we're seeing how he approaches this situation. He's respectful. He gives space. He gives plenty of time to announce his stuff, so he's not like sneaking up on this family. And he says, "I'm looking for Santa Claus," and she's like, "Aren't you a little old for that?" And he's like,
yeah.
"I'm not looking for the legend. I'm looking for the town Santa Claus."
Mhm.
And she's asking questions, obviously, because she doesn't trust anybody. I wouldn't.
Yeah,
What takes you to this place? He's looking for a guy named Dwayne Fink. She says, I don't know him. There used to be a town up on the bluff, but I don't know if it's still there because
yeah.
like who goes
But
there?
this part of the story I really love because that's just going more into, like, the old Western days
Yeah.
or anything like that where you would have a stranger come upon you asking for, like, food or shelter for the night,
Yes.
or you would have, like, soldiers, like, back then where, I can't remember what amendment was, but you had to allow the soldiers to be in your house. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I really like that because you're focusing not just on the zombie part, you're focusing on, you know, us having to go back to the good old days, and it's just really great writing.
Thank you. But this is like this is the meat and potatoes of the
Mhm.
issue where you get all your information because
Yeah.
otherwise it's just Jude and Prince. right?
Mhm.
So it's like this middle, like 3 pages where you get all your information, but then you just see how Jude reacts to like dilemma after dilemma.
Yeah.
So we established that one, he's respectful, he's nice to women and kids. Um, he asks for things politely. So he's not a raider, he's not out there just taking stuff from people or threatening. But he's looking for a town called Santa Claus and a guy named Dwayne Fink.
Mhm.
So this little girl is such an interesting character to me because she's younger than 10. And remember, we're 10 years into this apocalypse. So she's very innocent.
Yeah. To her,
Where
this is just normal.
Yeah, where the mother is untrusting, kind of put out by Jude asking questions and asking for water. The little girl wants to give carrots to the horse.
Mhm.
So I have 2 daughters, and this is how I think, they would react to seeing a horse. Maybe they haven't seen a horse before,
Yeah.
living on this farm. Um, and Jude kind of like confides in this little girl that his horse's name is not just Prince, it's Diana Prince.
Mhm.
That Prince has a star on her forehead. So of course we named her Diana Prince after Wonder Woman. So Jude likes comic
Of
books.
course.
Yay.
Yeah. Awesome.
So they have this touching moment. The mom kind of is like, here's your water, get out of here. He takes off and like waves goodbye to the little girl, which is nice.
Yeah.
And then we are here.
Yeah, I definitely, even with it being black and white, I just enjoy the shadow detail that the artist did. He does such a
Yeah.
good job.
It's funny because I'm really proud of issue 1,
Mhm.
but when you guys see issue 2, both Marco and I have grown so much as
Yeah,
artists, as letterers, as everything. So it's like these pages that are coming up are actually the first pages that Marco did
mhm.
on the whole project because this was the kind of the Kickstarter preview I gave was
Yeah.
these 8 pages in the middle of the comic.
Mhm.
So it's just interesting to see like where we started and then where we are now. And I'm really looking forward to like 3, 4, 5, 6, like where we're gonna
Yeah.
go.
Well,
So
that's the great thing, even if you're working on issue 1, like with my comic, starting from 1 all the way up to whatever page you're on before it's done, you grow so much as not just the writer,
yeah.
but as an artist because you're like, "Okay, I know what my strengths are, and I know how to improve that and focus on my weakness as well." But yeah, each panel is gonna be better than the last one just because you are used to drawing this character at their different angles, and pretty much,
Yes.
you have a whole series of the Pale Rider now instead of just issue 1, so you know where you wanna take it, and you have a partnership with your artist instead of just doing everything yourself, so it's like, "Okay, I could still write this thing to tell the story that I wanna tell, but now I know my artist's skills, I
Yeah.
could have it angled at a different way to make it more dramatic."
Dude, Marco does such excellent work. I don't really have to coach him on nothing.
Mhm.
He reads the script, he does the sketches, we talk about it when it's in sketch. He turns out some amazing things, which I'll show you some of the stuff that he's done in issue number 2. It just blows my mind how he comes up with this stuff. So it's really cool. So
Mm.
yeah, so here we are in this cliffside road. It's a pretty dangerous place. It's like there's no escape. There's a cliff
Yeah.
going up, there's a cliff going down. As they're sitting there, a freaking rock slide happens and it goes from the top, it knocks all the way off and just lands in the bottom of just boom. You know what I mean? Like it's
Mhm.
just really dangerous. So they're like, I don't know. And then there's this sign
Yeah,
and
that's
it
definitely
says,
one thing I can't wait to see more of your
"Eh,
book as well, is that sorry, cutting you off,
go ahead, go
but
ahead."
that I can't wait to see more of the natural disasters because there's gonna be natural disasters, there's gonna be fires in cities, there's gonna be all that stuff because of
Yep.
the apocalypse, so I just can't wait to read more about how you're gonna have those stuff in there besides the landslide, like, what is it gonna
Isn't
be
that
like
nice?
when you have what's gonna happen when you have, like, a bunch of zombies and there's a tornado in town, you know?
Or what happens when there's a swarm of undead
Mhm.
bugs?
Yeah.
or
exactly.
undead dogs or just a
Mhm.
bunch of undead together,
Yeah.
how do they function? Is there a
Mhm.
hierarchy? Are they are they a pile of bones? You know what I mean? They're at different
Yeah.
places in their decomposition. How does it all work? You're gonna see all of that. I address all of that. And,
Mhm.
I've said multiple times, like, even when you're a pile of bones or a pile of ashes, you're still here. You don't get to leave. There is no rest. So, it's a
Which that'd
tough
be
place.
horrible. It's like you'll be a pile of ashes and then you still have your memory.
It's weird, and it's like then we started getting into semantics, like, what happens if you get a limb cut off? Like, what if your arm is
Mhm.
over there? Does your arm still function? Yes. Does it have feeling? Yes. You know? Um, what happens if your head gets cut off? What happens if you get hit in the brain? So it's like you get to see all of these things kinda unfold, and it's like I said, it's interesting to start seeing how Jude interacts and, like, how the world interacts
Mhm.
after this change happened where death doesn't work anymore. So
Yeah. Most
so
definitely.
we're gonna see that pretty quick. So here on this cliffside road, Jude actually has a conversation with Prince. As you can see, they're companions where
Mhm.
he's asking questions and she's answering. He says, we could just have to be quiet. We're gonna go down this road. It's kind of like they've done it before. In other
Yeah.
words,
Yeah.
this is not their first time. And, he gives her a present. He's like, "To make things easier, I was saving these for a special occasion, but happy early birthday. Here's a new pair of sneakers." So he
Mhm.
puts soft shoes on her to make it easy for them to sneak past said bear or anything
Yeah.
else that's on this road because obviously, um, they wanna avoid any kind of conflict if they can.
Mhm.
So but it's just a nice touching moment where Jude is like, "Happy early birthday" to Prince, and, you know, it's like, you would get that for your girl. It's like, "Happy birthday, here's a pair of new shoes."
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So,
Animals are family too, and, we
yeah,
have stockings for animals around that time of the year, so, yeah, it makes sense.
right,
Especially with the horse and during this thing, I mean, back in the Western days, you had cowboys, cowgirls that their horse was their companion, and they did everything with that horse.
right, right. So and Jude lives on the road, so,
Mhm.
this is his transportation, his confidant, and everything,
Yeah.
she's his everything, she's his world, um, which makes it worse.
Yeah.
So here we are on this road. He sees something, and here's our first zombie, right? Well, we see an arm,
Yeah.
and it's moving. I know it's hard to understand, but it's like from a 2D picture. But he
Mhm.
tries to take this glass away, and it won't let go, right?
Yeah.
So he yanks it out of his hand, and the freaking hand explodes in his face, which I love what Marco did here with the hand overlapping this one panel with the face. I'm like, ew.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the
I
glass
really
goes
love that.
flying in the air. What's that, Ronnie?
I really love that panel, that was nice.
Yeah. These 2 panels here are amazing. He dives for this glass, catches it, and that's, like, the edge of the cliff. He's like, "Okay, what do we find out?" And here's this
Mhm.
glass. It's a tumbler, with the map of Las Vegas on it.
Nice.
Something to think about. And then this bird
Yeah.
kinda caws, and it, like, jolts him out of what he's doing. So what was
Mhm.
I thinking that was so stupid? But again, remember, Jude didn't sleep last night. He was up all night scaring off wolves. So he's not making the best decisions for
Oh, yeah.
him, and he kinda, like, knows that. He's human.
Yeah, sleep deprived does a lot of things to us.
Yeah.
But definitely that'll be something, like, when talking more about, like, the government conspiracy, it's like your characters are in the story are probably like debating it's like, okay, how did these people like you put in the first movie, it's like have or push not movie show, it's like you can have a car accident, one person becomes undead and the other one's alive. You don't know how it happens. So it's like these characters
Yeah.
are probably thinking like if I eat this food, is it gonna cause me like,
Is
you
it
know?
food? Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's kinda what we'll talk about that because we did a short film on conspiracy theories
Mhm.
about what people thought broke death. So it
Yeah.
was just fun to hear, people's take on it, but that's this world. If you had no clue, if undead started showing up, what would you think happened? You know, there's so
Yeah.
many different things that could cause it, and it's
Mhm.
just an interesting, thing to think about. So Jude sticks this glass in his little pouch, and he goes, you know, and there's these birds, they're all going around this bend, and of course he says, "I got a bad feeling about this."
Oh,
Gets around
yeah.
the corner and, ah, shit, there's these birds eating something, and here's our bear. So he gets off Prince, whispers in her ear, and they proceed carefully. But it's like, is this thing gonna wake up? The birds have been eating it for a
Yeah,
while. Maybe it's just
that's
used to
that's
that.
yeah. Yeah, maybe it's just dead because it's like you would think that even though you are a dead animal or whatnot, you're still gonna feel some type of pain, but
You
then
you would
who
think,
knows? Yeah.
but it's just who knows what goes through the mind of an undead bear. So he's there getting eaten, he
Yeah.
may sleeping. I don't know.
Mhm.
And look, I love this little inset panel that Marco put in where he's like, he steps over the bear. And
Yeah.
it's like he's right on the edge, and this is just like crunching, falling away beneath his feet. It's so dangerous. And not only does he have to go, the freaking horse has to go over. And it's like how
Yeah.
close her hooves get, like ruffles the fur of this bear.
Mhm.
And gets past, they
And it's
have like
showing that
one
you guys are
moment.
on a ledge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like you can't just go around.
Right. No, he's covering the entire ledge. He's a big old boy.
Mhm.
So there it's like either go over or go back. And of
Yeah.
course, Jude, knowing who Jude is, he goes over. But they get past, and poor Prince, who's also tired and on this dilapidated road, trips, and out comes this glass that Jude risked his life to pick up, and it smashes into the ground. And of course, we wake up Big James.
Yeah.
It's a bad day. I love this. I
Oh, yeah.
love this. Um,
But
I love this.
it was a great take. I'm like, to have a bear of all things be a zombie because, yeah, humans are scary enough, but bears a bear by itself is strong and fast. To have it be a zombie on another level, that's just
I mean,
terrifying.
yeah, there's a movie coming out called Cocaine Bear that I plan on seeing, but that's pretty much what I like
Yes.
is gonna
Yes,
be
I've
Big
seen that.
James. It's like you can't stop it. You can't you can't outrun it. You can't climb trees. It
Mhm.
can swim. Um, and now you can't even kill it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's already dead. It don't make a difference.
Mhm.
So this thing is not gonna stop. So this is, this is the end of spoiler territory. So if you haven't read the end of this, I'm going to spoil what happens here. So we're going to keep going.
Yes.
So they run. Of
Great
course,
chase
let's go,
scene.
Prince. This bear is not going to give up. So
Mhm.
run, girl, run. The bear is getting closer, faster. I love this panel that Marco did here with this look of just panic on Jude's face, where he's like, "We're not gonna." It's like we're not gonna make it, but he doesn't
Yeah.
even get it out because Big James just takes them out. Um, ugh,
Now
poor
when
Prince.
this action scene is just really amazing. I love the whole chase scene and everything. When you were writing this, did you have this in your mind or he's like, "Hey, I got something that I wanna do, and after I draw it, I'll let you decide if you like it or not."
No, this was all planned out by me, where I'm
Gotcha.
like, they run.
Mhm.
Prince is running, but Big James is gaining. They cannot
Yeah.
escape. Big James takes out basically Prince, and Jude goes flying. And
Mhm.
so while Prince is being mauled, Jude goes flying and he
Yeah,
has, concussion. So he screams, "No, it's a bad day for
which is
Prince."
sad.
Yeah, it's a bad day.
I was like
And then,
I was like, "She just killed the horse?"
yeah,
Like, you would think it was a main character, and then you just killed the horse. I'm like, sure, the cow it's like the pale rider, it's like, now he's not a pale rider because he's not riding on anything.
right. Well, the whole point of this is, again, that's his world, that's his
Mhm.
confidant, and this is how dangerous this world is. Any little decision like stopping to pick up a glass
Yeah.
can have dire consequences for
Mhm.
you, for people around you. If he hadn't stopped and picked up that glass, would Big James have woken up? Who
Yeah,
knows?
exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's a terrible place. There's high consequences, and really the only reason he survived is because he passed out. I love this
Mhm.
page where it's like the reflection on the eye. where Big James is just howling, and mauling, and you see the eyes start to close, and he's out.
Yeah, I always love shots like that where you have the reflection in the eye. It's
Yeah.
more dramatic.
There's He did a whole bunch of reflections on this
Mhm.
one. So with the
Oh, yeah.
glass, and then in the next couple scenes, you'll see another one. Ooh, it's starting to slow down.
Well, I
Ooh,
even like when he had that sound effect on the page before, but you could see the scenery when it was
yeah.
making the crashing sound.
Yes. So he wakes up, he has this lethal weapon, quote, I'm too old for this shit, and
Mhm.
sees the wrath. Now,
Yeah.
we leave this when we do this page in color, it will hit so much harder because really all that's left of Prince is a smear of blood and her star.
Yeah.
So we have Jude's hat, his pack, the saddle, and just a big old pool of blood. And it's a quiet moment. He comes over
Mhm.
and he kneels down, and this section at the bottom where he says,
Yeah.
"Prince, this is my fault," and he's crying. He's looking into a pool of blood. His reflection is there, and there's a chunk of Prince, and it's her star from her forehead that is floating in
Oh,
this pool of
yeah.
blood.
Mhm.
So when we're able to do this in color, you guys will
Yeah, that's
see
gonna be
this much
interesting.
clearer.
I can't wait to see how that looks like in color.
Yeah. So, and of course, it is his fault. He owns it.
Mhm.
He takes a minute, but he picks up his shit and it's time to go. So this is another defining moment for Jude. It's like he gets knocked down, he gets the Mickey kick, taken out of him, but yet he still keeps going. So he's just gotta
Yeah.
keep going, pick up the pieces because the answer's out there and I'm gonna find it. No
Mhm.
matter the cost. Says goodbye to Prince, has an Indiana Jones moment, picks up his hat.
Can't go without the hat.
Sighs, and "You better be worth it, Dwayne," and he's off to Santa
Mhm.
Claus in the distance. And look, if you look at the left here, it says "No deads."
Yeah.
So, it's just kind of foreshadowing where he's going, and of course, hopefully he finds Dwayne because, he lost his horse looking for this guy.
Yeah, it was
Who
yeah, it better be worth it,
who
exactly. You lost
knows
your companion,
who knows who Dwayne is and what he has to say, so we'll see,
right?
right? So there's the end of issue
But I
1.
love how you, again, show the star
Mhm. At the
showing that
bottom.
he's yeah, showing that he's leaving a big part of his life behind,
Yep.
and he doesn't know where he's gonna go, but it better be worth it because he just lost his horse, and probably it'll be great to read the other issues to see how him and that horse in the beginning formed that
Yes.
relationship. That'd be really
Yes.
great.
You will get to see Jude find Prince, um, and how their relationship goes. And she's with him for a while
Mhm.
and then leading back to here. So, one of the cool things that I like to do for people who are not familiar with Path of the Pale Rider, so there's 3 different levels of this story, I guess. So there's the comic, of course, which tells the main story. It's the meat and potatoes. You get to see the story unfold through Jude's eyes.
Mhm.
But there's so many other things that are built into this world. I decided very early on that we were going to explore them using other media.
Yeah.
So I started writing riddles and writing short films.
Mhm.
So I write riddles. This is a crossword puzzle. It's just meant to be fun. But the whole point of this crossword here, can you make me big?
Yeah. Oh, wait, I gotta make, do. Oh, no, no, no. Yeah, right here, solo.
Here you go.
Do what is it?
Aha. So here's
There you go.
one of the my first prints of first issue. And this is a riddle. And now in that crossword puzzle, if you have a physical copy, I gave you a little piece of red with a key. Now, if you see imagery like keys or skeleton hands or stuff like that, it's usually telling you to pay attention. So if you take this red piece of cellophane and you start running it down the right side of the comic, there's blue letters that are hidden underneath this red writing. You can't see it in the
Nice.
maybe you can kind of see it.
I can
Boo-doo-doo-doo.
a little, not too much.
There, see it pop out? It
Yeah.
says
Mhm.
FB. Where's the next one? FB, and then it says search. That one's
Nice.
kind of hard to come out. So it says FB
Mhm.
search group POTPREE''S. So if you go to Facebook and you go into the search option and you look at groups, POTPREEs, that's the group I created for people who are starting to solve the riddles.
Nice.
So I just
Very
answered the
cool.
riddle for you guys from issue 1. Issue 2
There you
also has a
go,
riddle.
If you
Issue
couldn't
2
solve it
riddle.
before, that's there
What's
you go,
that?
guys.
I was
If they
like,
couldn't
"Ronnie, you
solve it
better be in that group now because I spoiled it
yeah.
for you."
Just
But every issue,
yeah.
the back cover is going to be a riddle.
Mhm,
So and they're all gonna do something different, but it's gonna kinda lead you down this rabbit hole. So for issue number 2, when you solve the riddle, it will actually trigger something to be sent to you, and you get to interact
mhm.
with one of the characters.
Yeah.
So I have plans for, like, websites that you can hack, all sorts of riddles, like Morse code, ciphers,
Yeah.
all sorts of things,
Which
like
is great because that
coding
just adds
series.
more to the whole government conspiracy that you're talking about.
Yes, that's where you're gonna get to experience that stuff like
Mhm.
it was real. You know what I mean? Like, if
Yeah.
you go to a website and, you solve the riddle, it's the password and a website. If you go to the website and put the password in, you might
Mhm,
uncover, like, CDC footage of when we're
mhm.
experimenting on dead right at the beginning of the fall.
Now with this conspiracy theories, I know that you do, like, videos and stuff like that, like the
Yes.
news anchor videos. Are you planning to like, if they solve this riddle and you're able to hack something, are you planning to have, like, a little short film, like, of people, like, in hazmat suits doing something?
Well, not necessarily that, but yes,
Yeah,
there's gonna be hidden YouTube, videos that might there's all sorts of things that you can find.
yeah.
Like,
That's
there's
awesome.
an undead underground that help undead survive, or,
Mhm.
different chemicals that you can combine, to create like your own homegrown formaldehyde so you don't decay as fast. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So there's
Mhm.
there's all sorts of aspects of the world that you're not going to necessarily see in the comic book because you're only seeing what Jude sees.
Yeah.
Right? So, there's all sorts of things that I have planned, and that's really where we start to have fun is with the riddles and then the short films. So, the short films are the same. It's like we kinda explore more of the world. So, we did a short
Mhm.
film, let's see, I can pull that up actually. Let me stop sharing this screen, and I could bring up YouTube, and we can play one. We'll play, like, the first one is short.
Yeah.
Do, do, do,
Okay.
do. So I did like, the first one I did was a commercial
Mhm.
for, um, the undead retirement community, and hold on. So basically where people go once they're dead,
Yeah.
once the government decides to separate living and dead, that's where they send them. Alright, is it shared? There it is.
Adding it
Let me
now
go
to
back and
share.
make it big. But these are all the cool thing about these is they're fan interactive. So I find people that are reading the
Mhm.
comic that want to participate in these. So there's the extras are all fans of Path of the Pale Rider.
When it comes to an inspired and privileged retirement, Pine Fox is where you want to be. Quality of life, peace of mind, harmony, it's all here. The setting is beautiful and peaceful. The atmosphere is lively and enriching. The amenities have something for everyone and every interest. At Pine Fox, your health and well-being is a top priority. Our community is growing and just waiting for you to join us. If making the most of your AD years matters to you, the choice is clear. Pine Fox.
Katie, time to come in.
Okay, Mom.
For more information, call 216 555-3323 or visit pinefox.com today.
So there you are. There's a little bit more to it, but
Very
it's just
nice.
credits where it's like, this is a cool, like, I like the music to this, but I'm not gonna
Yes.
play those. And so that was, active with our first Kickstarter. Yeah, I got all sorts of stuff here. Like I did a
Mhm.
blooper reel from the conspiracy theory one. That one, it was just a lot of fun because people who are reading the comic know, okay, what death is broken, people die but don't
Yeah.
leave. What could cause that? So we had everything from
Now
like,
right?
what? Go ahead.
Ah, I was gonna say, I know at one point when you were shooting that stuff, you were doing auditions. So, for anybody out there that is a fan of your work, are you doing auditions for the next, movie for just
Yes.
people in your area, or can they audition and do a video from home in a different state?
They can. They can do an audition
Okay.
and turn in footage filmed from another state. Now, I usually give parameters. This one was pretty loose for the conspiracy theories. I
Mhm.
was like, just video yourself talking about what you think broke death. It could be as crazy as you want. So we had aliens, we had the rapture, we had a lot of people say food, which makes sense because if it's in the water or sugar and the whole globe has access to sugar, if it's
Yeah.
contaminated, then everybody it happens at the same time all over the place, right?
Mhm.
Um, government conspiracy. Someone said McDonald's, which was really funny. Cats. I mean, it was just all over the map, and we had a fun time with it. So if you guys want to go to my YouTube or look at some of the, my social media, you can watch either the short films or the blooper reel, which is hilarious. Um, at the end of the conspiracy theory video, I do a stunt where I get run over by a car. Um, so that's fun. You can watch me get hit by a car. But if you watch the blooper reel, I reveal how I did it. So it's some movie magic.
Mhm.
It's fun though. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's like we have a good time. Now, the next one I'm doing is actually going to be a short horror film. So
Nice.
I do need extras, but I don't need as many. I only need like 4, possibly 5, and
Mhm.
the instructions are very specific. So this one, yes, I will be taking auditions. The last one was kind of like, hey, anybody who wants to do it, send me footage, I'll put you in.
Yeah.
But this one is like, I only need 5 people, and you have to be able to follow instructions pretty well.
Gotcha.
Because it's going to be something very specific that I'm putting together. But you can do it from home. You can.
Very
It's
cool.
not there's no stunts involved. It's just specific, like, you need to be sitting on the couch and look a certain direction, and then certain things need to happen. Gotta pretend to be
Sweet.
dead. That's about
Yeah.
it. Uh, yeah, so I'm gonna do some drone work in that one. It'll be good, it'll be good, I'm excited. I kind of alluded to some scary things in like a teaser. But yeah, I'm working on some things. I need to work on some costumes for that. I'm 3D printing some things. Yeah. So it's in the works. I'm working on I'm going to send a survey out, I think, to the backers to ask what kind of
Mhm.
rewards we want to do for the next one, because I got like hot sauce and Funko Pops, and I can do
If you got hot
tumblers.
sauce, sign me up. I love hot sauce.
I was gonna talk to my buddy Chris Brown, who makes hot sauce, because he did one. Hold on, I'll get it. He did one. Look, it's so cool. It's Path of the Pale sauce. Ha! It's got
Oh,
Big
that's
James on
awesome.
it.
That's awesome.
The sauce is pretty good too. It's like a barbecue sauce, and then he put some ghost pepper in it. But
Ooh, exciting.
yeah, I mean, he makes his own labels and bottles these, so it's just amazing.
Yeah, because besides comics and stuff, if I'm gonna collect something, it's either I'm gonna collect a shot glass with artwork on it, or I love hot sauce, so I wanna try a different flavor of hot sauce.
I've been told shot glasses by a lot of people. The other thing I was thinking about was doing a deck of cards. In the
Oh,
next
okay.
issue, Here, let me put this one up. Yeah.
Like playing cards or like trading
Play,
cards?
playing cards, like a deck of cards, like you would just play like
Nice.
solitaire, war, gin,
Oh,
rummy,
okay,
something like that.
gotcha.
But with like my
That'd be cool.
characters and like I get to design the back of it and then some etched
Mm,
poker
okay.
chips. So
Nice.
that's why I got a bunch of ideas and I kind of want to pull the fans just to see like what do you want? Like I did a choose your own adventure book. I think
Mhm.
we sold about like 10 of those, which wasn't a really a big amount. Um but I think that needs to get some traction. Like people need to be able to read it. That's really fun too because
Mhm.
people can actually
Like, it'll be
put on
Go ahead.
I was going to say you can put on the hat and the boots and run bounties
Mhm.
in Path of
Sweet.
the Pale Rider world and see how long you survive. I kill a lot of people. But it's fun,
Like,
it's
if you're
fun.
Yeah, exactly, it is. Like, with all you like, if you wanna have hot shot glasses or hot sauce,
Yeah.
stuff like that, are you just gonna have that, like, just for that, or do you want to sell that after the comics out? Like, from regular like, other merchandise that you probably want on the website?
I can do pretty much if I'm doing it myself, you can
Mhm.
order it from the website. Like all the keychains I make myself.
Gotcha.
The t-shirts are pre-order though, so it's not like I can
Mhm.
do you can put that up. It's not like I can do on demand on those, at least not with who I'm using now. I might be switching just because there is a potential for me to
Gotcha.
do on demand on some t-shirts, which would
Yeah,
be really cool.
gotcha.
Um,
'Cause
but like
it'd be
shirts
cool,
I could
like,
do
if
on
you
demand.
Yeah.
Huh?
It'd be cool if, like, you had in your comic, like, you had the old school 1950s comic where it's like, you could buy this to get muscles or you could buy that, but it's like your merchandise that you have in your comic, like
That's a
the
good
X-ray
idea.
vision glasses.
Like,
Like,
yeah, if we had
since
like an extra
like, I
space,
don't
we
know
could
if you
do
wanna
like a
talk
sneak
about it, but,
ad.
like, the 3D model that you had, that you were
Yeah,
talking
this
about,
guy.
you wanna talk about that?
In a yeah, I wanted to show the, card
Mhm.
game. Here, let me
Yeah.
can I zoom in? No. Alright, well, fine.
I'll enlarge
So
it.
here's an issue 2, okay? So this is
Mhm.
Marco's cover. Here's the really cool thank you page that I put together for everybody that backed. We have the quote, which is from the Handbook for the Recently Deceased, which is the book that the characters get in Beetlejuice when they die.
Classic.
And here's some of the pages from issue 2. Now, they're all in color.
Mhm.
So we have, like I said, we've really kind of taken another step up here in our game. Um,
But even the colors are great because these aren't like bright, vivid colors. They have like that dull effect to it
yeah.
that just tells the story even better. Because here, you're not going to, like you said, you don't have electricity. So you're going back to the old days, relying on candles and lanterns
Gas
to give you
lanterns,
light.
stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Something that's really cool about this space, because if you look deeper into the background, this is
Mhm.
actually a hair salon that got turned into a saloon. I was playing with the words because salon is SALON, and they just
Mhm.
added an O and made it saloon. So if
Yeah.
like on this page, if you look at the third panel, this long one, look all the way on the right, you have those hair dryer chairs.
Oh, yeah. I see that. That's cool.
So it's kind of like we don't need to do our hair anymore. Let's just drink.
Right.
Tables are mismatched, chairs are mismatched. It's repurposed. So like this one, I love this page. This is what I
Oh,
was talking
yeah.
about
With
where
the
I was
playing
like, there's
cards.
a
Yeah.
card
That's great.
game. And Marco takes it to the next level where it's like the panels are the cards as they're being dealt. And it's just really cool to see the flow. And then they play this card game. This is Jimmy, this guy with the
Mhm.
goatee and the scar on his eye. He's really important to the story
Yeah.
for issue 2. It's kind of like Big James and Jimmy share the same name,
Gotcha.
and they both have a scar over the same eye.
Mhm.
It's like it represents the danger of this world and how Big James was a danger in the wild. When you get around people, it's just as dangerous, just from a different source. So
Oh,
that was
yeah.
kind of my subliminal way of saying, like, Jude is always in danger.
Mhm.
And these guys hate strangers, so they're giving him a hard time. Um, yeah, like he loses all his money. Like, and there's really cool, like on this top panel,
Mhm.
he's signing words. He calls Jimmy a douchebag with his hands. So in
Yeah,
this panel, it's kind of hard to see, but you'll be able to see it when it's in your print.
that's
It's
very cool.
douchebag with sign language. So we start introducing sign language as one of Jude's abilities, is where he's just talking to people without them realizing he's shit talking, which
Mhm.
is really funny.
But
So
that makes me even more can't wait to see how you explain, because for him to know sign language, he had to learn it for a certain reason, either
yep,
because it was his job or he had a family member, who knows, but, not everybody knows sign language, so I can't wait to see
right.
where you go with that.
And it's integral to the plot, so it's important.
Very nice.
So yeah,
So exciting, can't wait.
I love this little. I do a little musical
Mhm.
Easter egg. If you can't read music, you just scan the QR code and it will take you to what this song is. And then here
Brilliant.
we are with the fight. I love this page. And they start fighting. He
Yeah,
flips the table on him, and there we are without the color. So that's as far as we are right now. So
yeah.
you can see huge difference from issue 1 to issue 2.
Mhm.
Um, and again, we're having a lot of fun. But if you look at some of the details, like first of all, this guy in the top, these two zombies, this left one, that was one of the
Yeah.
immortality backers from last campaign. That's a person that backed us. That's them. And so is this guy on the panel.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Like we're using
Yeah.
people's likenesses so they're immortalized in the comic. But you also get to
Mhm.
see like the dead can still talk. Like this one is flat out saying, "Help me." Um, you also get the impression that Santa Claus is not a nice place. They don't like you if you're dead. They don't like you if you're a stranger. They just kind of
Yeah.
want to be left alone. But it's a
Mhm.
very like Western feeling place. Um, and of course, this guy right here is Dwayne Fink,
Who ironically looks like a Santa Claus.
he's crazy though.
Mhm.
We start looking at his face, like his pupils are drawn in different sizes. And
Gotcha.
this whole scene, like this is funny. Like he gets in here and the guy gives him a drink and he's like, "What are you here for? I'm surprised you made it up the bluff, because BJ is there," and basically tells him that BJ is this bear that's territorial and no one gets by him. And he's
Mhm.
like, "Well, I'm here because I'm looking for Dwayne Fink." He's like, "Hey, it's your lucky day. He's right there." So here's
Yeah.
Dwayne, here's Dwayne, and he's this old codger who's drinking and telling crazy stories and falling off tables and spilling his beer.
Mhm. Yeah, it's just really nice. I mean, not just him doing the artwork, because like you said, with the playing cards as the
Yeah.
panels, just brilliant, brilliant work. And for anybody, go watch episode 70. She talks about how you were planning to do this as a movie in the beginning, but
Yes.
then you translated it to a comic. And it's just great to see you as a writer grow, because you did so amazing writing in the first book, but this one it's like, okay, now I have the mojo, and now I know what I can and can't do, because comics is a whole different medium writing than a script, and there's just so much you could do differently in a better way, and so much you can't do.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. It's interesting because you have to understand the confines of the medium you're in. So like 2D,
Mhm.
we have no sound, right?
Yeah.
So in that first book where he's on that cliffside road, the suspense is taking the sound away.
Yeah.
But you don't get that because you're in a comic book. You know what I mean? There's other points in the story where sound is so important because it's deafening and it's very
Mhm.
loud. So we have to come up with ways to convey
Make it
that. You know what I
cinematic.
mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's some of the challenges. The sign language is a challenge, but I think we're going to work through that fine. But the rest of the story is killer. So we have a fun time, and every time we do one, we just want to like have fun, and we do sarcastic things. Like if you look around, what Marco does, like there's a scene where he put a toilet up a tree, like just weird stuff that I think is funny. The fight scene that's coming up is really good. If you look at the actual fight, you can see it in your
Mhm.
head like it's in a movie. It's not
Yeah.
just like punching it. more than that. So it's just like I'm really looking forward to people being able to see issue number 2, be excited about it, see what we're capable of,
Mhm.
where we've grown, and then putting that now knowledge that we have and learning and growing into episode 3 or issue 3.
Nice. Really exciting.
This guy.
I can't say that enough. And the
I know.
Pop Funko, I mean, it's just great.
So,
Are you planning to have more characters than just Jude?
oh yeah, we're doing one every Kickstarter, dude.
Oh, that's
So this
awesome.
was the first one. This is Jude St. Clair, of course.
Yeah,
The second one is Big James the Undead Bear.
yeah. That'd be great to see.
I've seen it. It's amazing. I haven't shared it yet because I don't want to spoil it for the one So okay, so the way our Kickstarters work is like there's gonna be going forward, there's gonna be 2 Funko Pops every Kickstarter. So
Yeah.
the highest tier that I have is $500 and it's called
Mhm.
Singularity. So you get like everything in the bathroom sink just kind of thrown in there. Um so in that first campaign, she got a white box version of this Funko Pop. Mine is brown, so it's
Yeah.
different. But she got the only white box version of Jude St. Clair, one and done. Everybody else, so then campaign number 2, I opened up Jude St. Clair's Funko Pop for everybody else in an orange box.
Mhm.
See? So we changed it so that way that's kind of like the general populace can order that one and she has the collector version. So the
Gotcha.
$500 one then went to Big James and then the Funko Pops for Jude were 200. These
Okay.
things cost over $100 to make, people. So I apologize I can't get you, $15 Funko Pops, but it is what it
Well,
is.
yeah, because the thing is that, you need I Niven tell me the bear's probably gonna be in a bigger box because it's a
It's
bear.
bigger. Mhm.
Yeah. So that's why it's gonna cost that much more, but, you know, you want to have the bear bigger than Jude because of just the massive size.
Right, right. So then Kickstarter number 3, I'm
Mhm.
gonna open up the big one orange box for everybody, and then we'll have a white box for people for one person, the Singularity. And I'm
Sweet.
thinking it's gonna be Jimmy. I haven't decided Jimmy or Dwayne. I'm going back and forth between the 2.
Mhm.
I think we're gonna do Jimmy, and we'll do Dwayne later because of things. I can't really say it because it'll spoil it. Um,
Yeah.
you're gonna but yeah, I have, like, probably I don't know. Um, Jude's family is in there. There's another character named Lola we're gonna meet. There's all sorts of characters that you have not met yet that are really interesting that
Mhm.
Jude comes across. So we'll have a Funko Pop for every Kickstarter. Mhm.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
really exciting.
Although I can't wait till I have a shelf and they're all across the shelf.
Right? Of all your character.
And then I have a
Now
secret Kickstarter level. So this
oh, sweet.
last campaign was the first time I did it, and
Mhm.
not everybody was brave enough to do it, but it was like secret. See what Laurie does, right? And so I made it's
Yeah.
called the Bones of Despair, and it's a box. When
What's
you
in the
open the
box?
what's in the box? It's pretty much that. It's a
Yeah.
bottle. It's a glass bottle with ashes and bones inside of it that's sealed with
Mm.
wax. I custom made the whole thing. I don't know if I have any pictures. It's on my TikTok. Wait, I
Buy
do
her
put
book,
it on the
people.
Facebook.
She is doing a lot to give you guys stuff. There's like, what other comic creator out there has Funko Pops for you to buy? I mean, she is dedicated to her work. She's
And
dedicated
hot
to get her
sauce.
work out there. Yeah, and the hot sauce. Go out there, people. Buy her stuff, you know?
Here it is. Here, wait. Wait. Go back. Here, I'll share this so you guys can see it because it's really cool. Have you seen it, Ronnie? Can you hear me?
Uh, maybe I have, maybe I haven't. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. All right. So I made a TikTok. So here's
Alright.
the box. Everything is handmade. I freaking made these
Mhm.
boxes myself. Um,
Got a secret, can you keep it? Swear this one you save. Better lock it in your pocket, taking this one to the grave. If I show you, then I know you won't tell what I said. 'Cause two can keep a secret if one of them is dead. Why do you smile like you?
There you have it. So people actually got to name their own bones. That was one of the survey questions. Um,
Nice.
so
Mhm,
this one happens to be for someone who named their bones Pierre. So I made the glasses, I
mhm.
made those like the skull tags, everything in the bottle, and then it actually has a poem on one on each side. Is like when death has abdicated the throne, rot shall or decay shall rule rot and bone. And even as a seashell sings of I forget what's on there. Hold on, let's watch it again.
Got a secret, can you keep it? Swear this one you save.
Oh yeah,
Let
yeah.
alone
La 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 la
if I
la.
show you, then I know you won't tell what I said. 'Cause two can keep a secret if one of them is dead.
When death has abdicated the throne, death shall rule rot and bone.
Why?
Like a seashell sings of absence, beware, even bones can despair.
Nice.
So it's like if you put your ear to a seashell, you can hear the ocean.
Mhm.
If you listen to the bones, can you hear them talking?
Ooh, that's nice. That'd be
So,
definitely interesting.
yeah, so I wanted to do like a surprise reward, like a surprise pledge level on every Kickstarter, and it's
Mhm.
just like whatever warped thing I can think of. But they're usually like they're handmade, they're one of a kind, and you can't get it anywhere else. It's not a t-shirt or a mug, you know, it's something that you won't be able to recreate.
Yeah.
So that's fun. I like doing that kind of stuff.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Man, this has been fun.
Thanks.
Well, you wanna talk about our favorite zombie movies a little bit before we leave?
Oh, you know what? I just watched The Last of Us
Yeah?
on HBO. Have you seen it yet?
I haven't, but were you impressed?
I
Like
was.
yeah,
Well,
good,
here's the
good,
thing. It sticks almost pretty much exactly the way that the video game plays out. It's close.
good,
It's very close.
good.
And I think that when you're trying to capture that audience that really likes that
Mhm.
property, that's super important. You know what I mean? To
Yeah.
stay true to the source material and tell the story how it was intended, as opposed to start changing things right from the beginning.
Yeah, because
You
like
know?
we talked about, it's one thing with having a novel, but this is a video game.
Right.
So, and we both talked about how most of the time video game movies or TV shows don't translate
Oh,
that
yeah.
well.
Right.
Comics did was the same way back in the 80s and 90s, but now
Mhm.
with the MCU it's different. But definitely hopefully one day we'll see more, video game movies actually becoming accurate.
Right. I mean, like Resident Evil. We could talk about all the ones that have failed, right?
Yeah,
Street
like they could
Fighter,
like I don't know if we played this game, but
Mortal
they
Kombat.
could easily do a they could easily do a Left 4 Dead TV show
It would be so easy, but they
with the
haven't.
special effected zombies and everything, but yeah.
Yeah. Um, so it was just really it was good.
Mhm.
I recommend it to everybody to go see it. I don't know if they're going to continue to follow the story. Hopefully, you know how it is where they pull a bait and switch. That's what Walking Dead did, where it stuck with the story until they got so far, and then they started switching out characters. Like they would kill this person and kept this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we don't know. We'll see. But it was done well. Um, I can see things coming. I've played the
Mhm.
game, so I knew like, oh, she's gonna be a thing, and this is what's gonna happen, and blah blah. Blah. But
Yeah.
for those of you who haven't played the game, enjoy. It's a wild ride.
Nice.
So in that world, if people are not familiar with The Last of Us, the zombie apocalypse is caused by a fungus. So
Mhm.
they have this opening scene. It was really neat because it was like 1968, and they have like the old situation, like where they're given an interview, and there's two guys, and then the interviewer, and he's talking about like in a pandemic, are we afraid? And the guy's like,
Yeah.
of viruses or bacteria? He's like, well, both. He's like, well, neither. I'm not afraid of those. He's like, who should we be afraid of? We should be afraid of funguses because
Mhm.
fungus can be a parasite, and it's already seen in nature how like I forget the name of the fungus. I probably can't pronounce it. It's like Coriopolis or something. But this is a
Mhm.
true thing where it takes over like ants and bees and wasps, where it gets into their blood system. It can actually control them. And then when it's done, it consumes their body and it creates this like stalk out of the back of their neck, and it creates spores and it spreads itself. So, so in that situation, he was like, well, right now mushrooms can't survive in a temperature higher than 96 degrees. But what if it had to evolve? I lost Ronnie.
The StreamYard on the desktop, so I'm doing it on my phone.
Oh, okay. I hear you.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
I hate it when that happens where it like boots you off and
Right.
you're like, oh God.
Yeah, it says I had lost connection issues, so I don't know
Oh,
why.
that's all right.
Yeah,
Well, I finished telling people about the
yeah.
Last of Us zombies and the different levels, and then I
Hmm.
panicked and stared into the
Yeah,
camera for like 5 minutes.
right. Yes, she's used to it. She does her own show on Tuesdays.
I do, but I don't have admin rights in here, so I'm like,
Yeah,
I can't turn it off if he doesn't come
right,
back. I'm stuck.
right. But definitely one of my favorite movies I want to talk about,
Yeah.
just because it's zombies, but it shows like zombies being intelligent, but it has the comedy to it. Return of the Living Dead series. I just love that.
Ah, was that the one
It's
where he
like,
was pumping gas?
yeah,
Yeah.
and they have that famous line, rigor mortis is setting in. Yeah. And then,
That was a good one. I watched that one.
yeah. And what I loved about that, because spoilers, if people haven't seen it, it's an old movie. Literally, when they were trying to burn one of the zombie bodies, the toxin from the zombie went up in the air and created acid rain. And then when the acid rain got into the ground at a cemetery, all these different zombies started coming back up.
Oh no.
So it was interesting, because in that movie it's like you can't really kill them. Like, there was a woman who was on it where she was missing her lower part, and she's like, the pain, and they're like, what pain? It's like the pain of being dead. They can feel that pain, but eating brains is like the only thing that helps take away that pain for whatever reason. So yeah, it's a really good movie, people. There's two of them. I recommend it.
One that I never watched, I was kind of hesitant, was that Warm Bodies, where
Oh
it's like
yeah.
power of love can make you come back from being a zombie. And I was like, this is kind of hokey. I don't know if I want to see this.
Yeah.
You ever watch that one?
Yes.
Was it any good?
Uh there was some parts I liked about it, but other parts it's like they were just trying to find a way to make into a romance story. But there was definitely parts in it where it's like you had one zombie of people versus another group of zombies.
Really? It's funny because when you think about it, where things
Hmm.
have gone. So we used to have the classic horror, like classic Frankenstein,
Yeah.
Wolfman, Dracula, right? And then things
Hmm.
have kind of evolved where we fell in love with those characters. So now it's like
Yeah.
Twilight, where it's like I fell in love with the vampire, I fell in love with the werewolf. And it's like that doesn't really translate to zombies. And I think that's what this movie was attempting to do.
Yeah.
To be like girl
Well, it's
falls
like
in love
with
with a zombie.
your book and everything. I could see, like, picturing in the world, you have these people that they still have their mind, they still know who they are, but who's to say that one of these zombies isn't going to fight another zombie where their mind is more decayed and they're just ruthless like that bear? It's like
Right.
they both are infected, but this one has to protect their family because they know this one is a threat. And then at
Right.
one point, where are they going to be like, okay, I got to finally say goodbye to my family, because I know even though I'm never going to die, I'm
It could
never
be
going to be able
dangerous.
to. I'm going to be dangerous. So yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting how you portray all that.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because the further we get into this story, you're going to see Jude in different colonies. Like
Hmm.
in some of the colonies, they treat dead and undead the same. They treat them both
Yeah,
with respect. Unlike Santa Claus, where it's like if you're undead and you show up, we hang you from the walls.
yeah,
So you're going to see that. You're going to see people make some really big sacrifices to protect family.
hmm,
Or when they go the opposite direction and just go off the wall. Now, could we have cannibal zombies? Yup.
yeah.
Do we have cannibal people in real life? We
Of
sure
course.
do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there another movie where you think of like, okay, this is a great zombie movie that I just can't get enough of?
Train to Busan.
Oh,
Um,
that's such a good one. They
there's a lot
did that really well.
yeah, there's a lot of really good zombie movies coming out of South Korea
Hmm.
cinema.
Yeah.
We're all I said, "Wow, I'm still alive." There's 2 of them. There's one where it's like a group of high school kids
Hmm.
and they're in a school and they're surviving, and then, like, it's weird though, the way that the South Koreans do it is, like,
Yeah.
sometimes you can get bit and be a variant. So
Hmm.
almost like you gain a superpower from being bit, and you can have, like, this rage, almost like turns you into a Hulk that's from this virus.
Yeah.
But most people are zombies. So they're trying to fight the zombies, but then they have this like superpower that helps them. So there was 2
Hmm.
movies that were similar like that. And then there's another one I forget. There was like a guy in an apartment. He was
Yeah.
like, I think that was Japanese actually,
Very nice.
but those are all
And
really good.
and you can't beat the classic, the original Night of the
Oh,
Living Dead. I mean, the black and white one. Sure, the one in the '90s, it was decent, but just the black and the black and white, the original zombie movie, it definitely holds a close dear to my heart as classic horror right there.
right. Well, I did a whole live about the history of
Mhm.
zombies and where they came from. And
Yeah,
zombies,
there were more servants than evil creatures because they
yeah,
were through voodoo and stuff like that.
right. They were voodoo slaves where it was like,
Hmm.
um, they had no will of their own, but they were still human,
Yeah.
right? So, like a necromancer or like a wizard with bad
Hmm.
juju would control people and have them do things against their will.
Yeah.
So that's where it started, and then it became they were dead, but still
Hmm.
slaves. So,
Yeah.
like, necromancer, like, bringing them back from the grave to do
Hmm.
things. And it wasn't really until Romero where they became flesh eating.
Yeah. Hmm.
So they became slow-moving, flesh-eating zombies, and then eventually it went to faster
Yeah.
zombies,
Hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
then we
World
started
War
getting all
Z.
these
That
other
was a
offshoots.
that was interesting. I don't know if they plan
Yeah,
to do more with World War Z, but just the fact of the zombies are not attracted to anyone who has a disease.
right. Then it became more like zombieism as a pandemic, like a
Yeah.
virus. Um, World War Z, the book,
Hmm.
fabulous.
Yeah, that's
World
what I
War Z, the
heard.
movie, not so much, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, for people who haven't read that one, it's a retelling of the zombie apocalypse from like a journalist who's going around interviewing it after the apocalypse is over. So they're
Hmm.
rebuilding. And it's just a really interesting take because he's getting stories from all over the world, and
Yeah.
it's where it was in the beginning, how people found out about it, and like what I really liked about it was like how it was real world. Like, they created a vaccine for it, but it was all
Hmm.
a bunch of bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
this
Very
vaccine
much.
because it's rabies, it's a rabies virus,
Hmm.
and, like, all these people were getting vaccinated and thinking that it was gonna save them, and it wasn't, and it was still spreading.
Yeah.
And the guy that made the vaccine was, like, in hiding in Antarctica
Hmm.
because there was no extradition law, and he was outside of international law because everybody was trying to sue his ass, and
Yeah.
he was you know what I mean? So it's like,
Hmm.
stuff like that I think is totally true and definitely influenced how I wrote Path of the Pale Rider. Um,
Now,
just the
what
cynicism.
now the conspiracies about the your book a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, like we were talking about, like with food,
Mhm.
the whole idea is like you don't know what you're eating, and that's true for a lot of things. I mean, there's so much food out there. Like I even like you turn on the TV and it's like, oh, if you were
Recall,
drinking this water or taking this
recall,
medicine, it has like these
recall.
side effects. You
Right,
know,
class action lawsuit, causes cancer, causes dementia, had
I even saw one
asbestos
that's
in
like
it.
it like, oh, this if you were at this military base and drunk this water, people have been suffering from cancer or even like some form of Parkinson's. And I'm like, that's what's really scary is like you can't
Right,
rely on taking medication or even in the recent years, baby powder has been causing
baby
effects.
powder. I was
Yeah.
just listening to, an, news article, and then they were talking about how freshwater fish are so contaminated,
Hmm.
that it's permanent. Like, and you eating it, you can't cook it out, and it's
Yeah.
not like over time it dissipates. They're saying permanent chemical damage to these fish. So if you're eating freshwater fish, probably shouldn't. So it's like,
Yeah.
how many things are like that we've been doing, or that they lie about, or they just don't know? Like smoking is great for you. Do you have a headache?
Yeah.
Smoke a
Everything
cigarette.
causes
Your stomach
cancer
ache?
now and stuff.
Smoke
Yeah.
a cigarette, right? Because they're
But I
either
mean,
they don't
it,
know or they're
yeah.
lying.
Yeah. It's even dates back to like when my parents and other people that grew up around that decade, where you would even have like children's toys or cribs, where the paint was lead.
Carcinogenic. Yeah. Made with
So yeah.
carcinogenic paint, made out. It's like, what was it? The snow in
Hmm.
one of those movies was asbestos. They were using
Yeah.
asbestos as snow in like movie production. So it's like, you don't know. So many, so it
Hmm.
could be chemical. Some of the other theories was like government conspiracy. So I researched all this stuff, trying to, when I was debating what was the
Yeah.
actual cause
Hmm.
of death being broken in my world. And this I found this article from 10 years ago. No, as long as it was
Hmm.
from 1998. Okay. And the article said nanotechnology in army experimentation.
Gotcha.
And they were putting nanotechnology uh, to change the amount of oxygen that was in the blood. So they were super saturating
Hmm.
soldiers' blood with oxygen so they could run farther without getting out of breath. They could go underwater and not have to breathe.
Yeah.
Just like all this crazy stuff from 1998. What are they doing now that we don't know about?
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. You
So what
just
are they
never
doing
know.
it wrong?
Yeah. Well, it's
Mm,
been really great to have you on, my friend. I appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Like you said,
I'm
I have to go back and like edit it
Yeah, I was
or
like, "You
yeah,
gotta edit that stuff out,
yeah,
man." 'Cause I'm sitting there like, "Oh, Ronnie."
right. It's like when Wayne's World. Wayne left up and Garth is like just there by himself, confused, like, I don't know what to do, man.
Yeah, yeah, that was me like, "Oh, it's not my show. If it was my show, I would know what to do, but I don't
Yeah.
have any of the buttons to play,
Hmm. That's the
so."
great thing I know now with StreamYard. I have to look it up and everything, but you could go in and like edit your videos and all that stuff
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
So,
Yep. I learned that because I
uh,
had to do a pre-record for one of my live shows because I had to go see the ear doctor. So I
mhm.
did a show and then I was able to edit out some of the fluff and like make it time appropriate.
Yeah, I watched that live, and there was
Yeah.
like I I know Pop thanked me for it because I was like I was one of the moderators on the channel. I'm like, oh look, there's a sex ad. Let me get rid of that.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, which I hate that all the time. I'm like, oh, I just got a comment, and then it's like I don't like this. Why? Leave me alone, people.
Yeah. But I had
But
fun. I was playing that
yeah,
game that Chris Brown made, The Call. It kicks my ass every time.
yeah, it was a
I
fun
haven't
game.
beaten it
It's
yet, man.
definitely interesting that I think a lot of people would have fun with.
Yeah. And it's like it's a zombie and there's zombies, there's dogs, there's cults. I keep getting
Hmm.
smashed by a damn van. Yeah, it's fun.
Sweet.
Good time.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
Everybody who's watching after after show's over, thank you. People who are watching it live, thank you. And me and Jason hopefully is planning to get someone else on the show Friday. And yeah, it's just got a lot of cool people lined up and can't wait. You all have a good day. Peace.